What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. Today we are taking a look at the only strand build that Warlocks need in Season of Defiance. A build that provides remarkable ability regeneration, creates tons of orbs, and is perfect for taking on the hardest of challenges that Destiny 2's endgame offers this season. This build is not your conventional strand build. It is a hybrid build that features several void aspects, including the Nezarec Sin exotic helmet, which comes with the intrinsic trait called Abyssal Extractors. This grants you a 2.5 second buff, called Abyssal Extractor, after defeating an enemy with void damage. While this buff is active, you'll receive a 300% increase in the regeneration rate of your grenade and melee, and a 200% increase in the regeneration rate of your class ability and super. Abyssal Extractor's time can be extended by defeating consecutive enemies with void damage. The maximum time that this can be active for is 20 seconds, but it has no cooldown after. That's a lot of bonus ability energy that's going to be generated when we include void weapons into this build. But before we talk about those weapons, let's talk about this strand class tree. We're using Mind Spun Invocation and Weaver's Call, as they're the only current aspects available. When casting a rift, Weaver's Call will cause 3 Threadlings to spawn and deploy towards your enemies. This will also send any perched Threadlings along with them. The aspect that's really going to benefit us in this build is Mind Spun Invocation. This allows us to consume our Shackle grenade to receive Weaver's Trance, which causes a suspending detonation after defeating enemies. This buff lasts for 18 seconds and can be highly effective at stunning and trapping champions or large groups of enemies. The Shackle grenades have proven to be one of the most beneficial parts of Strand, and this significantly amplifies their effectiveness, since we'll have an insane bonus to the regeneration of our grenade abilities. In terms of fragments, we're going with Thread of Continuity, which gives us 10 extra points in strength, but also doubles the time enemies will remain under the effects of suspension, unraveling, or sever effects. This can really come in handy when going up against tanky champions. We're using Thread of Generation, which is going to reduce our discipline by 10 points, but it will also regenerate a small amount of grenade energy when dealing damage of any kind. As I said earlier, we will be creating a lot of orbs with this build, so we're using Thread of Warding to get Woven Mail when picking up an orb, giving us a 60% resistance buff for 10 seconds. And lastly, we're using Thread of Mind, which is going to generate class ability energy when defeating suspended enemies. This grants 15% energy for Tier 1 enemies, and upwards of 50% for mini-bosses and bosses. And now that we've addressed the Strand subclass, let's talk about the weapons. SMGs like the Unforgiven, the Funnel Web, or Hero's Burden will be very strong choices that can also stun overloads with the seasonal mod applied. The Wilder Flight and Harsh Language grenade launchers will also synergize very well with Nezarec Sin, especially if you can get destabilizing rounds or repulsor brace. Heavy weapons like the Retrofit Escapade, the Commemoration, or Corrective Measure can be especially effective at dealing out a lot of sustained damage. Exotics like Lay Monarch, Graviton Lance, Wave Splitter, Vexcalibur, Leviathan's Breath, the Heart Shadow, and Black Talon can all bring unique advantages that synergize extremely well. Leviathan's Breath and Lay Monarch have been the 2 standouts from this group so far this season, and have proven to be very effective in Master Law sectors and Nightfalls. Weapons that come with Demolitionist will synergize very well, as they'll help regenerate grenade energy after getting a kill. Thanks to the Season of Defiance artifact, we get a lot of void-focused mods that will amplify the synergy that we've already got going on with this build. Volatile Flow will give void weapons volatile rounds when collecting orbs. Shatter Orbs is going to create orbs when breaking combatant shields with matching energy types. A lot of the in-game enemies so far this season have had void shields, helping our orb generation exponentially. Mods like Authorized Void, Grenades, and Strand will also help reduce the energy cost of armor mods that we will be using in this build. For our helmets, we are going with Void Siphon mods to create orbs off of void weapon kills. Using 2 of these will increase the frequency in which these drop. If using a strand weapon along with void, you'll want to utilize the Void and Strand multi-siphon mod. For gloves, we're going with Impact Induction and Momentum Transfer. Between the two, we'll get 20% grenade energy whenever we hit an enemy with a charged melee, and we'll also get 20% melee energy whenever we hit an enemy with our grenade. We're also using Shield Break Charge. This is going to provide us with Armor Charge whenever we break an opponent's shield with a matching energy type. This can be especially beneficial if you're using fonts or weapon surge mods to be able to trigger those benefits immediately upon breaking a combatant's shield. Keep in mind we'll also create orbs when breaking those shields, thanks to Shatter Orbs. For chest armor, I'm going with Elemental Resistance mods and Void Ammo Reserves. Since my character is currently over 80 in Resilience, Discipline, and Recovery, I didn't find it as beneficial to use font mods, but if you do happen to come up short in any of these areas, mods like Font of Focus, Font of Endurance, Font of Wisdom, and the others can come in handy. For boots, we're going with Better Already, which is going to trigger health regeneration whenever collecting an orb. That's on top of the woven mail that we'll get already, which is really going to help our survivability. We're also going with Void Weapon Surge. The use of one of these mods will grant a 10% bonus in void weapon damage when we have Armor Charge active. 2 mods will provide 17, and 3 mods will provide 21% bonus damage. Since we'll get Armor Charge stacks whenever we break a matching shield, and whenever we collect an orb, our void weapons should always be receiving a bonus in damage. For class item, we're going with a Reaper mod, which is going to create an orb when we defeat an enemy after casting our Rift. We're also using 2 Bomber mods. This is going to grant us 25% grenade energy whenever we cast our Rift, ensuring that we are always going to have a charged ability. We have Nezarec Sin amplifying the regeneration of our abilities, with our armor mods and class tree selection complementing that very well, giving us an amazing build that is perfect to tear through enemies in the most challenging in-game activities this season. I have found myself to be in absolute love with this build, and I'm sure that you will be too. So be sure to check this build out for yourself, and let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Otherwise, that's going to wrap things up for today's video. Thank you as always for checking it out. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian just starting your journey, or a battle-hardened veteran just looking for a new home, be sure to check out the Discord link in the description below and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.